From his early days working for global brands like Nike Ghana, Volvo UK, to launching Social Ghana back in 2012, Yanfo has gone from campaign runner to culture maker, working with clients including Black Sherif, Ghana Twitter, Uber, the Royal Century and more.
Globally is like 16.5 trillion is the digital services industry.
Yeah, they were spending 30,000 pounds a month on this.
On just social media marketing.
Yeah. On this episode, get ready to see how Social Ghana have gone from viral tweets to brunch and beats in Ghana's $50 million a year digital marketing economy. I'm in Accra at the EY office in Cantonments where I meet with Yanfo Hackman, founder and CEO of Social Ghana. They're an award-winning creative agency that's redefining digital storytelling across Ghana and the continent. And they were also recently featured in Forbes Africa. You'll also hear how the team have expanded into live music events with their 90s Rhythm and Brunch series, creating memorable moments and making moves that matter. So you're interested in investing and owning a piece of Heritage 100? Comment Heritage 100 right now in the comments below or check out the information. This is your opportunity to invest in Ghana real estate. Smart, luxurious and rich in heritage. Welcome to this episode of Making Moves Ghana with me, Julian Ace Ansah. And today I have the pleasure to be with the founder and CEO of Social Ghana. So they're a full-fledged digital services agency. And Yanfo is going to get into exactly his story, what Social Ghana is all about. Yanfo, nice to meet you this afternoon. Thank you for making time for us.
Of course.
So I just really want the audience to get a feel about who you are, what led you to come into Ghana and how many years ago that was, to kicking off a digital services business, because the actual industry, I think, globally is like 16.5 trillion is the digital services industry.
Yeah.
And in Ghana, I think it's projected in the next kind of 3 to 5 years at 1 billion. So it seems there's a lot that we can all maybe grasp and maybe jump into.
Yeah, for sure. Those numbers were a lot different when Social Ghana started. 2012, that's about 13 years ago. It was a much smaller market, much smaller industry, not just in Ghana, but globally as well. And the projection or the feeling that it was going to get to these sort of numbers all around the world, from what I was seeing in other parts of the world, because I was in London at the time, when the idea for Social Ghana came about. And digital marketing was growing very much so in the UK. A lot of brands and companies were picking up on marketing through social media when social media was just for fun.
Right.
Just a place to put your cat videos and your holiday videos and all of that. I was born in London, but I grew up in Ghana. I went to nursery, primary school, secondary school here. And then I went to school in Ohio called the College of Worcester.
Okay.
And I studied English primarily. I wanted to go into journalism. Through my passion for writing, I found a passion for writing for companies. So basically advertising copy for companies, billboards, radios, TV scripts, stuff like that. And that sort of led me into the marketing space. And it happened to be around the time when social media marketing was blowing up.
Right.
And so after university, I moved to London. I worked with Volvo in the marketing department. I handled their social media pages, and then I moved to a company called Found in central London, who are basically a digital marketing agency for brands all across the UK.
Right, okay.
And that's when I first saw how much businesses in the UK were putting towards their social media marketing. And social media marketing is basically your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X now, YouTube, marketing on those different
platforms, yeah.
And the company that I worked for was responsible for creating the content, creating the strategy, creating the media for those companies on social media. I worked at the digital agency that I was at for about 6 months.
Okay.
And within that time, I felt like I had seen enough. And there was a gap in the market for that in Ghana.
Right.
You know, so even while I was there, I was looking at what different companies in Ghana were doing on their social media. So all of the biggest companies, the hotels, restaurants, telcos, I was looking at the social media and I was seeing that they were not as refined as they probably should have been.
Should have been, right.
Yeah, so when I saw what, you know, my company in the UK was doing, but not just that, how much that companies were investing in social media at the time, it blew me away, and it just made me realize how important that it was to these companies.
Right.
You know, they were spending 20,000-30,000 pounds a month on their social
Or
media
just
marketing.
social media marketing, yes.
This was a time when radio, TV, billboard was still huge.
Right,
That's
prominent,
where
yeah.
most companies were putting their marketing money.
Yeah.
So when I realized that they were spending millions on social media as well, that just made me realize, you know, Facebook is a lot more than just
someone looking through their family pictures or what people done over the weekend.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So to bring that kind of thinking over here, because I was reaching out to companies over here and they were not very interested at the time. They were just like, why should I pay you money to manage my Facebook page or my Instagram page?
Yes, yeah.
So it took a bit of convincing a lot of, I guess, older generation people that it's worthwhile to put money into social media marketing. So like the numbers that you're saying right now just speaks volumes to how that has changed over the years between 2012 and today.
And today.
Yeah.
Now people can see the shift in terms of like where people's attention is at, right? So we know we're on our phones scrolling, the TikTok, trends, all these things can just make people celebrities overnight, etc.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Or, you know, a campaign that boosts a brand overnight. In terms of that transition, and you kind of like were approaching companies, at what point did it start to, you know, did you start winning your first clients? You know, were you still working for your UK company and running the Ghana business on the side? And then at what point did you say, right, I'm going to make that transition and go and make this happen?
So I was still in the UK when I was, you know, sending DMs to these different companies and just saying, hey, I can help you to improve your social media presence. You know, I can help you with your content, I can help you with your strategy. And pretty much everybody was saying no. You know,
Right.
people, I think, they just didn't grasp the concept of hiring somebody to manage the social media.
Yeah.
The sort of thing that either you give it to an intern to do or you let your nephew or niece
Right.
run it for you, you know? So I was getting a lot of rejections from the emails and the DMs that I was sending to companies in Ghana, until one company responded and they were positive about it. They said, they actually said that we had a meeting about this last week, that we needed somebody to help us with our social media. So
Right.
they said, could you come in for a meeting next week?
So timing, it was perfect timing, like your perseverance and your passion of wanting to do this in Ghana.
Exactly.
You after all those rejections, you came to that one client that said like, hey, we're in the market for this, and you were already fully up.
The only problem is that I was still working for the company in the UK.
Right.
I was still in London working for them. So I had a decision to make, you know, about not just even for taking on the client, but even having the meeting with the client. They just responded and said, let's have a meeting and discuss it. But they wanted to have a meeting in Ghana in person. They didn't know that I was in the UK. So I had to quit my job, fly down to Ghana, and just in time for the meeting, and hope that, you know,
they were going to take you on.
Yeah, exactly. And they did. They happened to be my first client.
Wow. Did you tell them that you'd quit your job to come over to see them?
I didn't tell them till much later, but yeah.
Right.
When I went to the meeting, they had no idea that,
Yeah.
I mean, they just thought that I had been here the whole time.
I actually met a couple of months back a guy who's doing the electric motorbikes. So they're more of a modern design than the 1950s
Exactly.
style motorbikes that people drive around in. You can ride your bike, and then when the battery's low, you just stop in at a station and
Charge
swap
it
them.
up,
No, you just swap
You
them.
swap the battery, okay.
So that's even nicer. You don't have to sit there for a
and
couple
wait
of
for
hours
it.
and wait for it to charge. So it's
So that's where things are going now.
a real interesting concept, yeah. You've got your family over here.
Yeah.
And so when you transitioned, it was a softer landing than like some of our American cousins who just say, I fell in love with Ghana, or I wanted to come to Africa, and I just kind of abandoned everything, and they haven't seen their family for 3 or 4 years, and they're making it happen for themselves out here.
Yeah, that's crazy when people do that. We meet a lot of people here as well that, I mean, their story is just they fell in love with Ghana. Or they may have come here for holiday, fallen in love with the place, and just moved everything down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up here. My family has always been here, so.
Your transition was.
Yeah, I mean, this was home for me.
Yeah.
So it was more coming back home than even really transitioning.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you weren't in these nice offices you're in right now. Was that when you kicked off? And also, like, how did you go about, building up your team and building up your client base? How was that?
My office was my bedroom for the first 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
I was working from home, from my parents' house. I didn't have any, and it was just me. I was a one-man team.
Right.
I was doing strategy. I was doing the, client management. I was doing the designs. I was doing the posting for, all my different clients. But it wasn't difficult for me. For me, it came very naturally.
Right.
I could do it very quickly, so it wasn't too much of an issue. But after I got the first client, I was able to use that case study to find more clients, and I was able to go to some of the bigger brands in Ghana. I worked with Latex Foam, I worked with Ansah Paint, I worked with Ash Foam. Further down the line, we worked with Malcolm, Fan Milk, Royal Century Hotel, just lots of big brands here that I think I was in a good position to be able to have conversations with those massive brands as a one-man team. I used my first client, Unique Floral, as like a portfolio, as a case study, and took it to these companies and said, this is where I took them from here to here, and this is what I could do for you as well. And that made it a lot easier.
In those conversations.
Exactly.
And you had like the metrics, the audience reach, or
all the data,
the conversions, etc. So the business model, is it that people do campaigns on a campaign basis, or is it like a subscription basis? How does that work with your clients?
It's a monthly retainer, so social media is always on. Social media always needs updating, it always needs content, it always needs attention. Really, you can't go offline on social media as a brand for a week or 2 weeks. Even if you're not running a campaign, you need to be engaging and interacting with people.
Yes.
And that's really the difference between social media marketing and traditional marketing. With traditional, if I've got a billboard campaign or a TV commercial, that runs for a few weeks or a few months, and it goes off until the next campaign. With social media, you always need to be engaging with your clientele. You always need to be responding to questions. You need to be updating them on what's going on with your business, whether or not you've got an active campaign. So for us, it's like how you would say a subscription-based or retainer-based model, where our clients pay a monthly fee, and we just make sure that they've always got their content.
And their brand out there.
Exactly. We took off so quickly with the Ghanaian brands. We managed to make a name for ourselves in the market here. And I think our work spoke for itself. I've got a very talented team of creatives that put together some award-winning campaigns for some of the brands here, like Fan Milk, like Malcolm, stuff like that. So we were sort of first movers in the industry, and we got a lot of attention from some of the bigger brands as well, who wanted the same level of work that we were doing for these companies.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, Twitter was moving to Africa with Ghana as the headquarters, so they were looking for an agency in Ghana that could help them with their launch in Africa. So I received a call from international marketing director in the UK.
Right.
And she just said that she'd been shopping around for agencies in Ghana. She came across us, and she wanted to know how we could put together a campaign to announce that Twitter was launching in Africa. So we spoke for a while. She met with the team via call, and we spoke about putting up a billboard campaign that would just be made up of tweets. So the big idea was just putting tweets on billboards.
Yeah.
So it was just looking for the funniest, the wittiest, the most interesting, the most relatable tweets that were, happening on Ghana Twitter, and putting them on billboards. And the idea was that they would catch the attention of people, and they would also show what sort of conversations happen on Twitter in Ghana.
In Ghana, right.
Yeah, just to let people, I guess, be a bit more familiar with how, because there's a perception of Twitter that, it's too complicated, it moves too quickly, it's just, people just feel like it's not for me, it's not picture-based like how Instagram and Facebook are.
Yes.
but it's a very interesting platform as well. It's where conversations happen, So the point of the Billboard campaign was to let people see what kind of
conversations were happening locally, or like you said, people in Ghana.
Yeah.
Everyday Ghanaian,
Exactly.
if it's politics that's relatable to Ghana.
Everything.
All those topics coming up.
Exactly. So people could see how relatable those conversations were, and we got a whole lot of downloads of the app here in Ghana. A lot more people were using the app after that campaign. We worked with Hennessy last year to launch one of their new bottles.
Okay.
We did their online campaign and we did their product launch as well at Sky Bar. Yeah, we worked with Northeastern University. They put together a program here in Ghana to attract people to apply
for their university,
university, and also to work with some, alums that were in the country and, people from similar universities in the US.
Who are now based out here.
They also reached out to us, and we were just getting a little bit more traction based off, the Twitter campaign as well as some other campaigns as well. So, we were lucky in a way, but I think the quality of the work that we had done, we've put in down the years, also played a big part in that.
Well, where do you expect to be in the kind of next 3 to 5 years in this space, and where are there any other trends? Obviously, AI is a huge thing now, and just how that's simplifying and helping people to scale at levels that we've never seen before.
We need to adapt. The market is changing every day, every year. What is happening now in the marketing or digital marketing industry is completely different to what was happening when we started. The focus has started, the priorities have shifted. What clients are looking for from the agency is changing a bit as well. Creativity is changing. AI is transforming everything.
Yeah.
So for us, it's about paying attention to where the world is moving towards, paying attention to what kind of trends, what is popular with the market, what's popular with people, what sort of stories that people are telling, and the shifting shape of marketing in general, especially with AI. Nobody saw AI coming 2 or 3 years ago, but now it's a big part of how we need to think when we're thinking for our clients, when we're thinking for our market, when we're thinking for the products that we have, even when we're thinking about how the agency is run, and how we incorporate that into how we are running the agency. The long-term plan is to scale up and expand, especially around Africa. We've had a couple of clients from Rwanda, from Nigeria, from the Ivory Coast, in the UK. So we have dipped our feet in different markets as well. I think eventually we want to have a strong presence in the African market, and beyond that as well. And also expanding our services as well outside of just marketing, outside of just digital. And that's what we started to do in the last year or two. We have Social Ghana Experiences, which was set up as a different branch of the company to create and deliver unique experiences to people within the market here in Ghana.
Okay.
One of them is Rhythm and Brunch, which is a 90s, 2000s old school R&B event, which we started about 2 years ago, just to give people something different to do. And it sort of exploded into its own thing. It's gone around different countries in Africa. We've had artists from the US come down. So these are all, things we're looking to see what we can do outside of just marketing. Trying to give people an opportunity to see some of the stars from the 90s and 2000s that they may not have had an opportunity to see.
You've got to try and get Mary J. Blige.
That's the that's the she's not
Mary J. Blige or SWV. And we saw Mary J. Blige recently. She was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with 50 Cent. So but again, those type of artists.
Even Westlife. Westlife was huge in Ghana.
Oh right.
Yeah, in the 90s and 2000s, Westlife was big.
Okay.
Westlife came to Ghana now, man, they would sell out the entire stadium.
Wow. And that's the Accra Stadium you're talking about, yeah?
Yeah, good.
Okay, so Westlife, if you're watching right now on Making Moves Ghana, there's an opportunity for you to come out here and sell out the Accra Sports Stadium.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, listen, Yanfo, it's been a pleasure meeting you. I know we're going to get some time with the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And, I'm really looking forward to seeing, how you guys move and continue to shape. So you've not only built a company, but it's shaping culture, creatively, information-wise, and like you said, brands and companies don't switch off in this generation.
Not at all, no.
24/7, 365.
Yeah.
So listen, great meeting you. If you liked any of the conversation that Yanfo and I have had, please comment in the sections below. But as I always say, please subscribe, share and like Making Moves Ghana.
The effort, the ideas, the collaboration and contribution from everybody is what churns out those results.
So in terms of our creative process, we know that, okay, we are in Ghana. Therefore, our content has to be relatable to the everyday Ghanaian. So when we're looking for content, we like to think of ourselves as international mind, but deeply rooted in the local scene. So we're picking ideas from people who do content in Asia, Europe, America, Australia, and then seeing how we can fit those content pieces into a local context that would be relatable to an office worker in Ghana, somebody, a market lady in Ghana, you know, just so that it's impactful but not boring like the way the other. I keep saying boring, but then that's how I really passionately feel about the average advertising that we see. We see that there's not much thought that is put into it. What value are you giving the customer? Just like we have a product, come and buy it. You just slap their branding, what's approved by the FDA, and then boom, they think they've done something crazy.
They think they've got it.
But yeah, it takes much more than that. You have to have an international mind.
And I want to talk about a campaign that kind of gave me that excitement.
Okay.
So it was the Twitter campaign done very nicely by Social Ghana. At the time, I didn't know it was done by Social Ghana, but the essence of that campaign was Twitter was coming into Ghana as an international brand.
Yes.
Now, how do we drive awareness about the fact that Twitter is here? They did so with very clever, creative, copy-led billboards where they highlighted the best of the best relatable tweets.
Yeah.
Some about Kele Wele, some I can't remember, but Kele Wele should be a snack at the cinema by Joe Wacko. Anyways, yeah, a friend of mine, shout out to him. But anyways, it's the fact that it got you to stop.
Yeah.
Look at it, have a laugh, pull out your phone and take a picture.
Of that, right.
That is premium
advertising, yeah. So it became a viral moment as well.
A viral moment, a viral sensation. It did so well. So for me, having learned that, that was done by Social Ghana, I was like, wow, yeah. This is a place to be. You can follow me on Instagram at Mamzy. That's at MAAMZY_. Yeah, no, that's good.
And my sister do content on natural hair, and the name is Yiku Coils, YIKUCOILS. We are on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So if you want to learn about natural hair content, follow us, like, share, subscribe.
That's the creative section here at Social Ghana, and I hope you're getting a lot of value from this episode of Making Moves Ghana. Remember, subscribe, like, share, comment.
Because of how competitive the industry has become, right? And also, like you mentioned, because AI and things like that are coming into the fray, it's really redefining what it takes to actually be a creative or digital agency, right? Because today, brands can use things like ChatGPT to pretty much come up with creative designs, copy designs, marketing comms, and things of that nature. So then the question then becomes, as an agency, what really do you bring to the table, right? What is that thing that you can do that AI cannot do, right? And that's, I think, pretty much the space that a lot of agencies in Ghana are, find themselves in. The truth of the matter is this, that AI is not necessarily going to replace us for a very long time. It's not even happening in the West. So, a long ways away from taking over quote unquote jobs in our part of the world, right? But those that are going to thrive in the next phase of what the digital space looks like in Ghana, how to use it and optimize what it is you're doing, optimize the output, right? So we are incorporating AI and mid-journey and things like that into our work, into our regimen, but we're always making sure that we bring that extra touch to ensure that the client understands why they need to continue working with us as an agency, right? And for me, at the end of the day, the real question is, what is the client's objective? What is the client's goal? What is the client trying to achieve, and who's the consumer the client is going after? Right. If we understand those things and we understand that better than AI, right, there's a lot that we can do that AI cannot do. Right. So in terms of how we are going after the industry, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity within the market. The currency has started stabilizing, right? So people are becoming a little bit more confident to invest in Ghana at the moment, right? And that creates significant opportunities. It creates significant bids, pitches, business development opportunities, and those are all things that we're poised to take advantage of. We're aggressively growing our team as well. We have job openings out there that we're looking for people to come and be part of the team.
Yes.
The journey, yes.
And it's an exciting journey.
Yeah. It has significant implications for digital skills development. Right? And I don't know if you know, but recently the government has come out and made a commitment to training 1 million coders, right? Training 1 million people skilled and qualified to be able to build programs, build apps, build softwares and things of that nature, right? So the government is making significant investment there. It also means that it's very important now for us to have things like digital accelerators and digital skills training hubs. So we have the likes of things like MEST, Multiple Entrepreneurial School of Technology, right? Those are also people that are investing in training entrepreneurs, building skills, and making sure that all of this opportunity, we have the skills in place in order to be able to take advantage of it.
Yes, yeah.
You
And capitalize, yeah.
Exactly. So there's a huge, I think that for the next couple of months to years, where the focus should be is going to be on digital skills development. Because a lot of the jobs or the jobs that are going to be in high demand are going to be digital skills or going to require digital skills.
Yes.
So you have to be able to do things like artificial intelligence. You have to be able to do things like programming. You have to be able to do things like cybersecurity. Because again, as we go more and more into a digital world, security becomes important. How we manage big data becomes important, right? How we do cloud computing, because a lot of the data is going to be stored in the cloud. That also becomes critical, right? So a lot of the digital skills that are going to be in high demand in the future, we need to start planning for it now and investing in people right from the secondary school level to the university level, making sure that everyone that is going through the mill has
those digital skills
to be able to take advantage. Otherwise, we're just going to sit here and have a bunch of people, a bunch of opportunity, a bunch of jobs, and there aren't enough.
And they can't compete.
And they can't compete.
What's the day-to-day focus for Stephen and what you drive amongst the opportunity or where you want the team's efforts? Is there industries that you're focused on? Is there other new markets that you're not in right now that you want to get them?
My unique background. One of the things that I've been privileged with is I've been able to work client side as well as agency side, media side. So how I usually like to describe the industry as I see it is that you've got three major players. You've got the clients, you've got the agencies, and then you've got the media platforms. Right. So the media platforms like your TV, your radio, your digital channels.
Yes.
And then you've got the clients, and then you've got the agencies who help the clients to get on the media platforms and execute their campaigns as well. Right. So you've got three players, and fortunately, I've been privileged to work across all three.
Right.
So I've worked with agencies, worked with clients, but I've also worked with media owners. So until recently, I was part of the Meta ASP in Ghana. So the Meta authorized sales partner in Ghana called Entravision 365 Digital. So we were the ones working directly with Meta to help people leverage Meta marketing tools efficiently.
Okay.
So we're working with agencies, we're working with businesses, and we're helping them upskill and equip them to be able to run Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and get the best, the most bang for their buck. So because of that experience across the three areas, it puts me in a unique position to be able to come in and train people, work with them, get them to the level where they can actually go into meetings, present to clients, because I know how clients think. I've worked client side.
Yes,
right? I also know how agencies think. So when we go into a pitch, I can tell you that this agency is probably going to say this, probably going to present this, probably going to do this, probably going to do that. So I can put us in a position where when we're going, because I've worked with most of the big agencies, I've worked with them too, and not just working in them, I've also worked across the table with other agencies. So sometimes you have big brands that have multiple agencies working for them.
Yes, yeah.
So you can have a digital agency working with a client. You can have a media agency working with the same client, and you can have a creative agency working for the same client. And then you have to brainstorm together, even though you're different companies.
Right.
So it gives you a window into how other businesses actually think, how they approach strategy, how they approach media, how they approach comms. So my role really here is, number one, I do a lot of accounts and client service management. So because I know how the clients think, I deal a lot with clients. I attend a lot of meetings. I do pitches, I do presentations, but also I actively train and help the team get to the point where they can do this by themselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I also work with the digital media team. So the digital media team is largely responsible for running ads for clients across Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Google, YouTube, programmatic platforms as well. And I work with them to come up with, what are the targets that we're trying to achieve? How do we run the ads in an optimal way? How do we get the best efficiency, return on investment? Also because of my experience with working with, the largest e-commerce provider in Ghana, which is Jumia.
Jumia, yeah.
I was chief marketing officer there. So because of that, Jumia is a D2C kind of brand. It's a direct-to-consumer brand.
Yes, yeah.
So because of that, when they run ads, it's very different from when you typically would have an awareness campaign or a brand consideration campaign. They're running ads to drive direct online sales.
Yes.
So it puts you in a position where you're forced to learn how to run ads very, very efficiently.
Right.
So I work with the team to be able to do that for our clients today. How do we get the most bang for our buck? How do we optimize? And I don't work necessarily on just one sector. I work across all
sectors, right?
Across all the clients. So I work on every single brand. So from real estate to fintech to whatever the case might be, to FMCG. I work across all the brands. So that's really, really my.
You're a wealth.
Yeah.
A wealth. That's why that's why you're the money man. And the other great thing there. So for anyone who's not familiar with Jumia, Jumia is like Africa's equivalent to Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah. So Amazon aren't in the African market.
Nope.
So Jumia is the key player.
Yep.
They originally started in Kenya, right?
Yes. So they've been in Kenya for a while.
Yes.
And I think they're in Nigeria as well as they're in Nigeria, they're in Ghana,
yeah.
in Kenya, a few other African
nations. That's great.
Yeah. So e-commerce definitely is also one to watch. The Ghanaian consumer is evolving. Jumia is continuing to make strides, and beyond just Jumia, we also have other players also entering the e-commerce space, things like Knock Knock, for instance, right? So Knock Knock, for example, their USP is that they can deliver it to you in a really, really short period of time. So whether it's groceries, whether it's confectionery, whether it's consumer goods, whatever it is, you order it and within 15 to 30 minutes, they're at your doorstep.
Right.
Yeah, so with them, I like their approach because they want to ensure that they deliver things to you in record time. They are not in all locations.
Right.
So specifically, they are expanding gradually. So they only announce their presence. They only allow people to order in a particular location when they have a presence there, and they know they can serve you in 30 minutes.
Right. And that presence needs to obviously be, if it's like product.
Exactly.
They've got the warehouse there, and they know it's in a certain radius to get to.
Exactly.
And especially in Accra streets, right, where anything can happen, right?
Exactly. So there's also another one, really, really exciting one. I use them quite a lot. You're in a pinch. It's late, it's 8 p.m, you run out of water, you run out of something, whatever.
Yeah.
You can just pull up Knock Knock, you order, and within less.
And that's an app as well,
exactly.
Knock Knock. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go and check that out.
Yeah,
I'm learning something new. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that's great. Well, listen, Stephen, really appreciate your time, your insights. Your journey in terms of your experience in this space, and. Again, I think there's enough going on in this industry to last us 10 times our lifetime. So it's about, making your mark and your dent.
100%.
If anyone needs to connect with you, are you on any social platforms?
Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, but I mean, if you want to connect with me, the easiest place to get me is LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah.
LinkedIn.
Can I just remind the VCs, this is a big opportunity. So connect with him on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Say Making Moves.
Bring the money.
You there, yeah.
Bring the money.
Bring the money. So listen, that's all for us for this section of this episode of Making Moves Ghana with Social Ghana.